Hey everyone, this is Lisa from Life in Layouts, and today I have a 2-page layout using the Cocoa Vanilla Legendary collection, and I'm actually going to scrapbook Allison Davis with this 1-page layout, but I am going to stretch it into a double page. And I started out with cutting out the strips. I am really just kind of looking for any of the paper that has kind of a smaller print. I think she actually might have even used a 6x6 paper pad with this. I definitely had to kind of work and coordinate quite a bit with the papers to make sure that I wasn't getting something that was too large. And I started out with that black star constellation piece, but I didn't like it in this paper. It was just too stark of a color, so I am going to change that out for another piece of paper. It just looks, even right there you can see it looks just, it's just off. So I'm going to go ahead and take that out and put in another set of arrow paper. So once I get all of the strips cut out, I'm trying to decide how large I want the strips to be. I know that I don't want them to be 12 inches. I'm going to obviously cut them down. And I couldn't use that part of Allison Davis's sketch because, like I said, I'm pretty sure she used a 6x6 paper pad for that. I think I ended up with 10-inch strips, and they are 1.5 inches wide. So there was a lot of math going on. And every time I use math in scrapbooking, I always think back to when I was in like elementary school and maybe even middle school and high school, where my teachers were like, you're going to use math when you're older. And I remember thinking, no, I'm not. I'm never going to use this. And here I am using it in a hobby, not even in a work profession or anything like that. I do go ahead and ink up all of the edges. I think I used denim or blue jean. I think it's some kind of jean color. I think it's denim is what I think it is. And so once I get all of the strips inked up, I'm going to go ahead and lay them all down. And of course, because I am scrap lifting Allison Davis, I obviously have to add some stitching to my layouts as well. So getting all these strips down was kind of a pain, making sure that they were all straight. And even with my T-square ruler, it was still quite a bit. And I don't even think that I got it all straight. You can see that there were some pieces that I just had different sizes for some reason. So I just went ahead and just used my X-Acto knife. You do have to be pretty careful when you're doing this. You just want to cut the top layer and not the white cardstock or whatever cardstock you're using underneath. You want to make sure that you're just cutting the pattern paper on top if you do that. So I go ahead and use my ruler to add some holes to my paper. And then I just did a regular back stitch because there was so much going on. I didn't want to add a lot of dimension or a lot of embellishments with that stitching. These particular photos are of Eli, and I work from home, and so this is my office setup at home. And he decided that he was going to go to work, and so I had pulled up just a Word document, and he actually wrote, hi, I am Eli, I hate school. Then he had a smiley face emoji, the plus sign, a frowny face emoji, and then an equal sign, and then a emoji face that just had like a straight line. So he was doing his math there. But I thought it was cute that he was trying to kind of mimic me a little bit and what I do at home, since it doesn't appear to him that I do a whole lot of work, especially when I am at home and he is at home as well. It is definitely not easy to work from home when you have a little one kind of running around and thinking that you don't do anything all day so you could entertain him while I'm actually trying to work. I was trying to use the word phrases that came with this collection, but I just couldn't find a title that I wanted to use. And so I decided to put that aside until I figured out what I wanted to do, and I went ahead and pulled out my Big Shot and my star dies, and then I just have some solid cardstock in this like mustard color, a teal color, light blue, and I don't even know what color that is, like apricot. I don't know. But those 4 colors is the colors I used. And I just cut out a bunch of stars. They all kind of match with the colors in the layout. And I figured that if I didn't use them on this layout, I would have them for another layout. So I was okay with just having kind of a big stack of stars there. Just kind of arranging them to, again, mimic Allison's layout that I scrap lift, and she did a 1-page, so she has hers in her upper left and lower right corners, and so I just did the exact same thing but in a double page layout. So one side in the upper left, and then on the right hand side of the page, the bottom right, with just a bunch of stars. So I am inking all the edges so that they will kind of have a cohesiveness to it. I'm also pulling out any of the embellishments that I think would work with it as well. So I pulled out this button here that says Superstar, and then I keep adding the stars to it and just trying to, you know, make it work with all of this. I do end up with a bunch of stars, and that is one of the hardest things that I think that anyone can do when it comes to clusters. Sometimes I just don't understand the clusters, and I will play with them and fuss with them until it gets to the point where it's something that I think looks okay. And sometimes you have to kind of walk away from your embellishment clusters because you're so focused on it looking right that if you walk away and come back, you know, 20 minutes or 30 minutes or even the next day, sometimes having that new eye will help you make sure that your clusters look good. Because I can remember, even though this was almost a year ago that I did this layout, I remember being very frustrated and just pulling out the stars and moving them around and trying to make them look cohesive in the layout. But so even you know, looking at it a year later, I'm like, oh, I really like the way that those stars look on this layout. Keep that in mind when you are building your clusters, that you may not like it at this current moment, but you may enjoy it later on. So take a break from it and come back to it. I also pulled out my wood veneer and some other puffy stars, some other adhesives stars. I was really looking for just anything that would match the collection and then fit into the space that I have here. So I do apologize for being off camera. It is a lot harder to film when you don't have your regular space. And the table that I was using was bright orange, so that's why there's this kind of brown tablecloth on top of it. This crop that we went to was actually at an Airbnb that we rented, so it was a local place that we had gone to, and we had rented it for the weekend. I think it was, we got there Friday morning and stayed until Sunday, so we had a nice time just relaxing. There was 5 of us total, and you know, we had some card makers, we had some scrapbookers, and it was just nice to get away. The Airbnb was a huge Airbnb. Like sometimes I can't even imagine living in a house this big, because the downstairs had a formal living room, I guess is what they called it, and we had moved the furniture all the way against the wall and set up our own tables. And then there was an actual like living room downstairs, and then obviously the kitchen, and one of the bedrooms were downstairs. And then upstairs there was a whole other sitting room where there was just a couch and a TV, and then 4 additional bedrooms upstairs. So it was just a huge house. And then obviously a pool in the backyard and the spa. So it was nice to get away and spend some time with some of my local girlfriends who also scrapbook, and just be away for a little bit. So my title, I ended up using just some thickers that I had, and my title is going to be Work Zone, because I thought that was cool. A cool little title for him hanging out in my desk. All right, so here is my final layout, as well as some close-ups. If you enjoyed this video, if you wouldn't mind giving me a thumbs up, I'd really appreciate it. And once again, I'm going to ask you guys, if you are willing to help me out, I would really appreciate if you could go back and watch some of my older videos so that I can bring up my watch hours, so that YouTube doesn't think that I am a new content creator. All right, guys, I hope that you are having a scrappy day.